To former acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker. What a day, sir. Critics say this is a President Trump victory. He's saying there would not have been vaccines out there by now if not for Operation Warp Speed. The media and Democrats saying, pushing back on that. What do you say? I can imagine you're going to say Trump is right. What do you say?
Like a lot of Americans, I think I felt the sense of pride seeing those trucks roll out of Michigan, distributing the vaccine that was developed in less than a year after the sequencing was done on the genetic code of the virus. And, you know, there's a lot of people who participated in this and deserve credit, but it would never have happened. And I totally agree that the president, through his extraordinary leadership, is the one that deserves much of the credit for making this happen so quickly and saving millions of lives ultimately. And I saw this in his cabinet, Liz, where he pushed and made sure that things were getting done on behalf of the American people. And so it's just an extraordinary day, and I'm just so happy that our frontline workers especially are not going to be protected from this virus.
Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar is blasting Joe Biden, saying basically stop the partisan sniping. He doesn't also like the sniping in the media. It's a big distraction when this is about optimism for the country, because Joe Biden was basically saying that the Trump administration's vaccine rollout is problematic. It's expensive. It lacks strategy. Alex Azar is saying you're wrong. That's nonsense. We have comprehensive plans from the CDC, working with more than 5 public health jurisdictions across the country, and the military is in on this. Your reaction to that fight?
Yeah, Liz, I saw the remarks from President-elect Biden, and I thought they were tone deaf and didn't reflect actually the hard work and the planning that had gone on into the whole rollout plan. And I see what's happening. It seems that the priorities are correct in getting it to the frontline workers in healthcare, getting it to our senior citizens in nursing homes, getting it to the most vulnerable with pre-existing conditions, the kind of people that are having adverse outcomes because of the coronavirus. And again, this is just extraordinary to do this all in less than a year. And really, it's all because of, in my opinion, and President Trump gets the credit and should get the credit.
Yeah, you know, critics have said, why not give the president the credit? I mean, the Trump administration is leveraging retail pharmacies, hospitals, public health departments. Again, it's being managed and controlled by the U.S. military as well as people in the private sector. So, and you got like 630 sites are going to get the vaccines, you know, possibly this week. So, you know, it was never understood why the need and the knee-jerk need to always be reactive and put it down and you know, just politicize it. It just feels like a big distraction. When we have 300,000 COVID-19 deaths, this should be a feel-good day. What do you say, sir?
Yeah, it should be a celebration of American ingenuity and do-itness, where we get things done. And the United States of America is great, and it should be a day that it really is up there with days like D-Day, where American power and might was brought to force. And by the marshaling of the resources of the United States, both private and public partnership in this development of this vaccine, President Trump has harnessed American greatness and has done exactly what he said he would do. And it's really a day to be celebrated, and all Americans should be proud of what we've accomplished.
Critics might say there was an outbreak of inane comments made by the media, breathtakingly tedious comments made by MSNBC. One analyst there, a correspondent, tried to blame President Trump for the blue state Democrat governor's skepticism about vaccine. Democrats have been skeptical, including Kamala Harris. They've been skeptical about vaccines. Let's try to see this, listen to this rope-a-dope gymnastics, you know, basically tumbling routine of this kind of logic that you're going to hear from this MSNBC individual. Watch this.
Can you talk about through a little bit of that process?
Okay, so basically we're saying that the process that the Democrat governors of certain states were pushing back on going to do their own basically analysis of the COVID-19 vaccine because they didn't trust President Trump. They didn't trust the Trump administration on it. When these states, California, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, already have announced yesterday that it is safe for public use. So, you know, enough is enough. What's going on here?
Well, what's going on here is that they're always going to criticize the president and his administration. They don't want to give a single ounce of credit to the president. And, you know, these are the same people that have told us that it's all about the science. You got to trust the science. And all of these vaccines have been run through multiple stages of testing. We've all heard about it through almost every day as to how these innovative companies like Pfizer and Moderna have gone through the process. And I think, you know, they just want to find a reason to criticize. And you're right. I think it's harming the American people. It's sowing a small amount of distrust in this vaccine. But ultimately, I think a lot of Americans' lives are going to be saved because of these vaccines that have been developed. And a lot of it should be credited to President Trump and his efforts to push this forward and make it happen in less than a year.
And, you know, let's just report this now, because you can possibly anticipate the media and critics saying, oh, the vaccine pushes a failure, because when you look at the flu vaccine, typically the flu vaccine could wear off after 5 or 6 months. We don't know if that's true of the COVID-19 vaccines. We're hearing issues about immunity with the vaccines. We know there are questions about it. But you know what? Stop with the poisonous distractions and stop undercutting everything because you think you're a know-it-all when you're not. I mean, you know, there are issues here in trying to save people's lives instead of to score points off of an attempt to save, you know, America and American families. Your final word, sir.
Yeah, there's no doubt that these vaccines are going to improve outcomes for Americans. And, you know, we will obviously develop, and I think this is a great first step in our combating this virus.
All right, Matthew Whitaker, great to see you.
Thank you, Liz.